Reports are stating that Ange Postecoglou is willing to let 10 first-team stars leave the club this summer. Fabio Paratici is still working for Tottenham Hotspur as a consultant. Reports are stating that Spurs will offer Leicester City £40 million for England midfielder James Maddison. Leicester are holding out for £60 million. Spurs will go to 60, but they want to pay an initial 40 and then the rest in add-ons and further instalments. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all keeping well. This is another edition of Tottenham News, where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now let's start with some comments from Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabio Romano giving us an update on our new goalkeeper, Guglielmo Vicario. He has stated Vicario is in London right now to complete medicals as new Tottenham Hotspur signing. The deal will be announced this week. Now for a transfer update from the Daily Telegraph today, all about Leicester and England midfielder James Maddison. They have stated that Tottenham, to make James Maddison move as Leicester, are demanding £60 million. They also state that Spurs are prepared to pay an initial £40 million and want to strike a compromise with Leicester, which will include add-ons and further instalments. On Monday morning, Italian journalist and transfer expert Fabio Romano stated Romain Mundle to Standard Liège. Here we go. Agreement reached on 4-year deal until June 2027. Medical test now done. Then contract will be signed. Romain Mundle leaves Tottenham on compensation. Monday evening, Romain Mundle wrote the following on Instagram. After an incredible 15 years at my boyhood club, the time has come to close this chapter. I'm eternally grateful to everybody who has supported me throughout my journey at Tottenham, from the coaches and club staff to my fantastic teammates. Thank you for everything, Tottenham, and I wish the club every success in the future. A report has just been published by the Daily Mail, and they are stating that Fabio Paratici continues to advise Tottenham as a consultant, despite him resigning as managing director of football after a FIFA-imposed 2.5-year global ban. Tottenham's former managing director of football, Fabio Paratici, continues to advise the club on a consultancy basis following him resigning in April. Fabio Paratici left the role after being handed a 30-month global ban by FIFA in January for his role in alleged financial irregularities relating back to his time at Italian club Juventus. He was one of 12 executives who received bans, and the Italian side were eventually deducted 10 points in Serie A for the way that they and other clubs had dealt with player exchange deals. Also in the report, it says Juventus were accused of false corporate communications, false communications to the stock market, and obstruction of a supervisory authority, though the club said their accounting was in line with industry standards. Parts of his ban were lifted by FIFA earlier this year, allowing the 50-year-old to return to football in a reduced capacity and help Tottenham on a consultancy basis. The report also states that Paratici's ban meant that he was forced to leave his role at Tottenham less than 2 years after being appointed, and a statement released by the club at the time said it had been a stressful time for him, but ensured due process had been followed. And it then says that the Italian had been given consultation advice to both Tottenham and Sampdoria, who were relegated from Serie A last season. Football.London has stated that Fabio Paratici admired goalkeeper Guglielmo Vicario, who is set to become the first signing of new manager Ange Postecoglou's reign when he signs from Empoli for around £16 to £17 million. Football.London have also stated that the former director is helping Spurs with their rebuild this summer, with Leicester's James Maddison among the targets he is helping to secure a deal for. Back to the report from the Daily Mail, it says, while he may be involved on some level with Tottenham, the management structure put together by Fabio Paratici at Tottenham appears to be falling apart right now. Performance director Greta Steenston, who was appointed by Fabio Paratici, is set to leave the club after less than a year, with Chief Football Officer Scott Munn expected to take over his responsibilities. Now, lots of reports out about this story today. This one is from the Daily Express. Ange Postecoglou is prepared to allow up to 10 players to leave Tottenham this summer as the new manager begins his ruthless clear-out of the squad ahead of a busy transfer window. Spurs are set for another major overhaul after appointing the Australian to replace Antonio Conte, and the ex-Celtic boss's plans include offloading several star names that featured regularly under Antonio Conte, with many new faces expected to arrive in their place. Club captain Hugo Lloris, who has already announced his intention to leave the club, is set to be allowed to depart after 11 years with Tottenham. The France international has a year left on his current contract, but he looks set to head for the exit door, with Spurs poised to confirm a £16 million deal for Empoli goalkeeper Vicario this week. And Ange Postecoglou is set to dash any hopes that Harry Winks may have of resurrecting his career at Spurs after a loan spell with Sampdoria. The 10-cap England midfielder made 20 appearances for the Italian side, but the 27-year-old is heading back to England following their relegation from Serie A. The Athletic have also reported on this story, and it states as many as 4 defenders will be free to find new clubs as £42 million flop Davinson Sanchez, Javat Tanganga, Joe Rodon and Sergio Reguilon are all being made available for transfers or loans. Joe Rodon and Sergio Reguilon spent last season on loan at Rennes and Atletico Madrid respectively, but it does appear neither player has done enough to secure a permanent move. Also in this report, it says Giovanni Lo Celso and Tonguion Ndombele were both farmed out on loan last season, and despite costing a combined £120 million, the pair do not seem to be in Ange Postecoglou's plans next season. Lo Celso could now return to Spain after his brief spell with Villarreal, while there has been interest from Italian clubs in signing record by Tonguion Ndombele. Alfie Devine could head out on loan again, whilst Ivan Perisic's future looks uncertain at Tottenham. The report then goes on to say that Postecoglou will be hoping to raise enough money from the sales to fund signings of his own, with Leicester playmaker James Maddison on his radar after the Foxes were relegated to the Championship. Now, my thoughts on all of these stories in today's episode. Let's start by talking about James Maddison. If you watch this channel or listen to this channel on a regular basis, you will know that I'm a huge fan of James Maddison. I was a big fan when he played for Norwich City. Of course, he signed for Leicester City. At that time, Spurs should have gone in and signed him. We should have paid the pittance that Leicester paid at the time. And, we've missed out on so many players over the years. When I think about the players that we have been linked with and we just didn't carry the deals through, we just didn't get the deals over the line. Jack Grealish, perfect example. Eze now, playing really well for Crystal Palace. So many players, Maddison being another one. But, if Spurs can get this deal done, I think it would be a real statement signing, and it would certainly give the indication to the Spurs fans and new boss Ange Postecoglou that he is being backed. And, we want to play entertaining football. Of course, Ange Postecoglou, it has been promised that he's going to bring entertaining football. And we need a playmaker, and we need a player to fill that role that we have been missing for some time. And I think that James Maddison will do exactly that. So I'm personally hoping that this deal gets done, whether we pay the 40, whether we pay the 60, or whether Daniel Levy and the board can work their magic, very similar to how they got the Kulusevski deal over the line, paying his fee over 6 financial years. No matter how Spurs get this deal done, just get it done. Now, Romain Mundle leaving the club. I'm actually very disappointed. Yet another great player from our academy is leaving the football club. Spurs wanted him to stay, from what I understand, and he wanted to leave. I saw a number of comments from a number of Spurs fans today on Twitter when I posted, I'm disappointed to see him leave. And a number of fans said, well, he isn't good enough then. that isn't the case whatsoever. He is good enough. Spurs wanted him to stay, and it is yet another academy player wanting to leave the football club because, in the past couple of years since Jose Mourinho, Nuno Espirito Santo, and of course Antonio Conte, mainly Jose Mourinho and Conte, a lot of the academy players, the younger players, have felt and probably still do feel that it's going to take a hell of a time, or they've got very little chance in getting first team football, and that is why so many of them have left, which I think is a great shame. Hopefully, Ange Postecoglou can turn that around, turn that attitude around, give a number of youngsters opportunities in the first team. Even if it is from the bench, show the youngsters that they've got a chance in coming through the academy and going into the first team. Now, the various reports today stating that Ange Postecoglou is open to letting 10 first-team players go. To be honest, I wouldn't be at all surprised if it was more. Of course, he starts the job on Saturday, this Saturday coming, on the 1st of July, officially, along with Scott Munn. And he is going to have to really assess the squad. Of course, it is 3 weeks now until we play our first game pre-season in Australia against West Ham United. There is a lot to do until then. It'll be very interesting to see the players that don't actually get on the plane for pre-season to Australia, Thailand and Singapore. Whether he'll make his mind up very early or whether he'll give some of these players chances. But, from the names that I read out from the various reports, Eric Dyer isn't in that list, and I would like to see him leave the club this summer because, at the end of the day, this is going to be a major rebuild. We need to bring in improvements. We need to bring in defensive reinforcements. Absolute must. It is an absolute priority. If the goalkeeper, Vicario, gets over the line, which is expected to be done today and announced in the next couple of days, if James Maddison can get done and we can get a couple of defensive reinforcements in, if these deals, all of them, can get done early and these players then go on the plane to Australia, I think that it would be a very, very good start to the transfer window. Alfie Devine, I don't expect to leave the club. I know a number of people were getting a little bit worried today, stating that Alfie Devine should perhaps be getting first team minutes. Probably right in some cup competitions, perhaps. But the step up, as much as I like to see a lot of the development players in particular get first team minutes at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and, of course, away games in cup competitions and the Premier League, it is a huge step up. So whenever they do get their opportunity, they've got to grab it with two hands, 110%. But Alfie Devine, I think he will probably be best to go out on loan next season. That is probably expected. But some of these other players, even Brian Hill wasn't on that list as well. So, there are so many players. You could probably pick out 15 players, I would say, first team players that perhaps could leave Spurs this summer. This is what the rebuild is, though. It's going to be huge. It's a massive job. He's got a massive job on his hands. It's funny because Football.London in the last 24, 48 hours have stated that they expect that Spurs will bring in 5 players this transfer window. I tell you what, I'd probably be disappointed if we only brought in 5. I feel that this squad, certainly the first team, we need more than 5 additions. If we are going to, if we want to challenge again for top 4, which at the moment we are a mile away from that at the moment, we need to bring in more than 5 decent signings in this transfer window, particularly if we're going to get rid of 10 players. It is a major rebuild this summer and we need to, really go for it. Now, Fabio Paratici working for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club as a consultant. It seems very strange at the moment, the way that so many staff members at the club are either leaving or changing. Greta Steenston had been rumoured and lots of reports have come out in the last couple of days stating that he is on the verge of leaving Tottenham Hotspur Football Club after just 1 year. Dean Raztrick, who of course has just left, has been replaced by Davis. And Yaya Toure has also left. Lots of changes in the academy system right now. Lots of changes in the backroom staff at Tottenham. We still don't know Ange Postecoglou's coaching staff. for next season. We are still waiting for lots of appointments. We don't know whether we are going to appoint a director of football. From what I understand, we were still looking for a director of football. But whether that's going to happen before we go to Australia, let's wait and see. But Fabio Paratici is still working at Spurs. I do think it's very odd how he can be a consultant for two clubs, one in Italy, one in England, Tottenham Hotspur and Sampdoria at the same time. I think that is a bit strange. And for me, he inquired to Empoli about Vicario back in January. So I think it's very obvious that Vicario as a goalkeeper, again, is a club signing and not Ange Postecoglou's signing, because we went in for him before, we inquired about him, and with Fabio Paratici still working at the club, it's pretty obvious that he is behind this deal. And I'm not saying that that is a bad thing, because if Vicario turns out to be a fantastic goalkeeper for Tottenham, then of course it will be a fantastic deal. Everybody will be raving about it, and everyone will say, what a great deal it is. We've only paid 16 million instead of 40 million pounds for David Raya. Of course, if it doesn't go well, then everybody will be saying we should have paid the 40 million pounds for David Raya. And what on earth are Tottenham doing? Having Fabio Paratici doing deals for us. But as I keep saying on all of these episodes right now, so much needs to happen. In these next couple of months. Ange Postecoglou, I think I will feel a lot more comfortable when he is actually at Hotspur Way working. I think I'd feel more comfortable as well when the signings start trickling in. And I think I'd be a lot more comfortable when I'm hearing and seeing more reports than I am now about our players leaving and about clubs being interested, because it is very, very hard, or it does seem hard, that we offload players, particularly a lot of players. Perhaps Spurs will end up ripping up a few contracts this summer. I think probably a lot of fans would probably like to see that with one or two of the players. But, of course, some of these players cost us a lot of money. Davinson Sanchez, £42 million. Do you rip up a contract when you've paid that sort of money for a player? I'm not so sure. I don't think Tottenham will do that for him. But we need to get some of these players out the door. Ange Postecoglou has to have, he must put a real stamp on his squad. And I think that's when I'll start feeling a lot more comfortable about our squad, when you can see players going out, you can still see players, of real quality coming in, and things start to change. But pre-season is only 3 weeks away, lots to do. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you on the next one. Until then, come on you Spurs.